And welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and this is another patron roster review. This is Scoope from Alliance Delta. What's happening in Alliance and what's happening in Scoope? All right. So you've been around since essentially the beginning, and you do spend a tiny bit of money in the game, but not a ton. We'll look at your roster, and you'll see that it falls off pretty quickly because you don't spend a lot of money. You wanted to know mostly about ships, but Arena as well, and kind of how you can mix up Arena or how you could mix up ships so you could do better. You're doing well in Arena, honestly, at 71, and for Fleet Arena, you're not doing too bad. You're still in the top 500, which is not bad at all, but I know you want to improve and get more rewards, and I get that. Now, I looked at your inventory, and the issue is after the first 3 rows, or even after the first 2 rows, it really falls off. And there's, pretty much everybody's at gear 8 or gear 6, or it just kind of falls off really quickly. So there's not a whole lot to choose from currently. And so I'm looking at what you have as available to you. And truth be told, what you're using is the team I would suggest, with a Rex lead to speed him up, General Kenobi for the critical hit immunity and being your tank, Darth Nihilus because he's super tanky and insta-kills, Boba Fett for the ability block and insta-kill and revive capability, and Emperor Palpatine for the buff immunity as well as the shock and the ability to stun everybody. That's what I was thinking about. And so his stun is phenomenal, and his shock that he applies is great. So this is the team I would actually use. Now, I will give you a farming list at the end of ships I think you should farm and characters I think you should farm. And the characters I suggest are going to be characters you could stick into this team to make it more viable than it currently is. So those characters at the end, which there's about 6 of, are going to take your arena to the next level, and then ships. But you did want me to address the Fleet Arena as well, and how can you improve on the Fleet Arena. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to suggest to you a team. It's going to include some of what you already use, but include some of what you don't use. So we're going to give you a suggestion, and I'm going to let you try it out, and then tell me on our private Discord how it's working out, so we know whether this has worked for you, and we can tweak it in the future with certain ships. But I want you to try a target lock team, something that will help you chew through opponents a little bit easier and will be a little bit more annoying for the opponents that are going against you. Now, the first thing I noticed with a target lock team for you is you don't have a lot of target lock characters in the game, so it's going to be really hard for you to build a target lock team in here. But you do have the First Order TIE Fighter and the Imperial TIE Fighter, and you have Biggs' ship, and you have the Umbaran. And so what I'm suggesting is an Admiral Akbar lead, actually putting in First Order TIE Fighter. He's the second fastest ship, and he can apply target lock. And if the ships are target locked, which is the direction that we're trying to go, right, he's going to be able to do a strafe, which is his special ability, over and over and over and over again. And so because of that, you want to get him in there, because if you're doing a target lock team and no First Order TIE pilot, you're wasting the massive damage that he brings to the table every single round. And with him being fast, he applies this over and over and over. Very irritating, and will chew through teams very quickly. The First Order TIE Fighter in a target lock team is the best ship for a target lock team that you're going to have. So just the amount of damage that he applies is absolutely amazing, other than Boba Fett's, which you do not have. So First Order TIE Fighter, which means you're going to definitely want to get your First Order TIE pilot up in gear passively over the next 3 to 6 months, so that way your ship becomes more and more powerful. And you're going to want to farm the ship, which you can get relatively easily out of the Galactic War Source. So you definitely want to focus on that. So the First Order TIE Fighter, the Imperial TIE Fighter, because he's almost impossible to hit, he's super irritating, he's going to feed lots of turn meter to your team, and he can target lock on his basic, and he's the fastest ship in the game. You want that speed over the other team. So there's 2 target locks, and then the Umbaran is going to do target lock. He has a target lock capability, and he's durable. He's really irritating and durable, and he can also dispel. So if you're going against a team that has a tank, and the tank taunts, and you got to get through that taunt, or you want to move to another character that's more of a threat, you need to be able to dispel. He's going to provide that dispel. And then you need a tank. I would use Biggs. Biggs in a target lock team is the way to go. The moment your TIE Fighter pilot goes first, target locks the opponent, Biggs will taunt, and now they got to hit Biggs while your other team, your other ships are free to do what they want, and that's exactly why you want to use Biggs. And of course, You know, Biggs with home 1, that's a great combination when he goes out of turn and whatnot. So you've got Biggs, Umbaran, and both TIE fighters. And then probably for durability right now, because your ships aren't super high, especially your first order TIE fighter, you want to try and keep them a little bit alive a little longer. Put Jedi Consular in that primary 5 lineup. He's going to be able to put protection up, which is going to create more durability, and call an assist. Now, this is why it's important. You don't have a lot of target lock. You got first order TIE fighter, you got the TIE fighter pilot, you've got Biggs who shoots out of turn, and Umbaran. And those 4 are the only ones that you have that really do target lock. But they don't always apply it, and so you're not going to get target lock as consistently as you're hoping for. Jedi Consular, in his special, will be able to call an assist, which will give you another opportunity to target lock when they shoot on their basic, and if he calls one of the TIE fighters or Biggs out of turn. And so that is definitely a way to help increase the odds or the chances of applying target lock on your team. Now, for your backup, you're probably going to lose Biggs because he's going to be taunting a lot with all the target lock, and they're going to target him and kill him. They're going to just try and shoot through him. So you're going to want Sunfac as your first lineup in. So when Biggs dies, Sunfac comes in, so you still have a tank on the team that's there to help kind of disrupt what the other team is trying to do to you. And then you're going to need some damage dealers to come in at the end, and really what's left is Wedge. I would have him as your next in line. Wedge he'll come in and he'll do his special right off the bat, which can do anywhere from 50 to 100,000 damage, and that can finish a ship off really fast. So definitely would have him second in lineup. And then lastly, it's kind of a toss-up, but really Ahsoka or Geonosian Soldier. But Ahsoka is a dispeller, faster, and does more damage, and you have her higher. And so I would recommend between those two Ahsoka Tano, because she's just more versatile in the ships that you have, and you already have one of the Geonosians with the Sunfac ship, and they're all really slow. They're like the 3 slowest ships in the game. So that's what I would suggest. But as far as ships to gear, or not ships to gear, but ships to farm, one thing I did notice is there's 3 really amazing ships in the game that you don't even have, and they're all 3 dark side ships. And you really have not a very good selection of dark side ships. And so I would be farming with your ship currency. Use half your ship currency for characters and half your ship currency for ships, or half for ships and half for Zeta material. But you want half of it to go towards ships. You want to farm Darth Maul's Scimitar, Darth Vader's TIE Advance, and Boba Fett's Slave 1. What that will do is get you 3 ships, and I would focus on one at a time, and I would do the Scimitar first, Slave 1 second, until you unlock it. And when they unlock, they'll be viable at unlock until you have a chance to raise them up more. But Scimitar is viable at unlock, Slave 1's viable at unlock, and TIE Advanced. But I would do Scimitar first, Slave 1, then TIE Advanced, then go back, max out Scimitar, max out Slave 1, then max out TIE Advanced. That's the farming method. But do those 3 ships. They're the 3 best dark side ships in the game. They're phenomenal. You need them. And then for Arena, I have 6 characters for you to farm. Number 1, B2, yeah, so B2, everybody hates him, but he's definitely one of those that's going to keep you arena viable from now in the future. You're going to want to be able to have him to plug him in to get through some of the General Kenobi teams that you're going to start running into, or some of the auto-taunting bays and shore trooper teams that you're going to run into. B2 is a godsend for those types of teams, so definitely want to get B2 up. Another one is R2-D2. Surprisingly, you got him 6-star, but you haven't put any energy or effort into him. For the current team you have, he'd actually work better than your Emperor Palpatine, and this is why. He's going to stun, just like Emperor Palpatine can do, but he's 3 times more durable than Emperor Palpatine, and he can kind of false taunt. So it's kind of like having a second tank on your team, which brings more durability. And what I mean by false taunt is he's going to put stealth on everyone but the highest health and protection character you have. So if you have 1 tank on your team, you know, such as General Kenobi, he's going to automatically make everyone attack General Kenobi a second time. That's even after General Kenobi has taunted. So he's going to bring more durability to the team, and I would take Emperor Palpatine out and put R2-D2 in. You've got him 6-star. You can make him ridiculously good, but you're going to have to gear him up. So B2 and then R2D2 definitely. The next one I'm recommending is Jyn Erso. She's going to help you in arena. She's going to help you in light side battles. She's going to help you in, you can use her in the raids for turn meter reduction. So you got to get her to 7 stars, which it looks like you're working on, and you got her abilities to level 7. So it looks like you're in the right direction with her, but she's an awesome character to work on in arena. Surprisingly, I am going to actually recommend Sith Assassin. Sith Assassin is an excellent character in the game. It looks like you've put a little bit of energy into her, but then you kind of quit. She is going to help you if you decide ever to switch to a Darth Maul or a Darth Vader or a Darth Nihilus lead team, and she is just an awesome character. She can keep herself stealth so people can't hit her, and she does a lot of damage, and like I said, she can speed up other Sith. So she's definitely one I would recommend. She's one of the best Sith in the game, so definitely put her in there. And the last two that I would farm that are not in here are actually Chirrut and Baze. They're the most overpowered characters in the game as far as a combo or a pair of 2. You don't have Chirrut, and he's now free to play. You can actually farm him out of the shipments. He doesn't drop often, but you definitely need to buy his shards when they're available. So this would be the character I would use half of your shipments on, and then the other half on your ships like Maul's, Scimitar, and Slave 1. But Baze, you're going to have to, you can get 3, for 150 crystals, you can get 3 shards. I would recommend doing that with some saved. Every time you get a payout, save some of that and try to store up, kind of like a savings account, until you have enough to buy his shards, and slowly buy his shards. Even if you can only get him at unlock at 3 stars, you don't need that many crystals to get him at unlock. He's a lot cheaper now than he was to get. You can easily get him for $10 worth of crystals, but if you don't want to spend any money on him, then don't. But if you're a dolphin, you spend a little bit on a rare occasion, maybe a $10 pack, and get Baze solely out of those crystals when he drops in the in the shipments. He is worth it all day, every day, and he is going to take your teams to the next level. So we figured out your arena team. We gave you suggestions on that, which ships that you should be working on. And then we also discussed the arena and who you should be farming for arena. And like I said, the team you're currently using is awesome. I would put in R2D2 in place of Emperor Palpatine, but he needs a lot of work. So Scoope, I hope this has helped focus you in arena and in ships. Let me know on our private Discord how everything's going, and if you need tips on any of the modding for any of these characters. As always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.